where I live, we've never trusted the news because the information we were given was completely opposite from what we were witnessing. And it was
Yeah.
even before, it was back when we had grizzlies and they were trying to tell us we didn't have that many grizzlies. And then when grizzly problems would occur, they're like, oh yeah, we do have grizzlies. And so it's like, so you've been, and then they're admitting that we've had grizzlies forever, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So they would do
exactly.
this, they were doing this to the locals, right? Um, one situation I won't get too much in detail with, but there was a bear mauling where a bear got killed. And by the time it made it into, like, these environmentalist groups want to protect these grizzlies so much,
Yeah.
they were doing everything in their power not to call it a bear mauling and a hunting accident.
Yeah. What the heck? That's
And
so funny.
yeah, and it's like, and the guy that died from the bear mauling got flown out last. The bear got flown out first
Of course. Of course.
because the bear is more valuable.
Yeah. You kind of you show your value, man. You tip your hand when you do stuff like that. It's like, what is wrong? Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Fair Chase podcast. Excited to be back. We've been busy the last couple weeks with film release, our Mountain Lion film release, and our film festival. So appreciate you guys tuning back in. And today I'm excited to talk to Tom from Stuck in the Rut. Tom, how are you?
Hey, good. Yeah, I'm excited
Good.
to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, like we established ahead of time, this is Tom from an undisclosed state out west. Can we, is that broad enough?
That's fine. No, I mean I'm from Idaho,
Yeah.
so that's fine. Yeah.
There are some interesting parts about being, social active on social media when it comes to hunting, because people figure out maybe your location and then they sometimes try to, figure out where you hunt. And so we were kind of sharing stories about that ahead of this
Oh yeah.
podcast, which is an
Hey, no
interesting
joke.
thing.
I've been followed to my hunting spots.
Have you?
No joke. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's happened. So
You hate to see it, and I was telling him we get camera pictures of us sent to us by people we've never met and stuff before, so it's just a little weird. But there's trail cameras everywhere, man. It's
yeah.
hard not to be on one.
And it's fine. So like here's my thing is I am completely okay if, like, let's say there's another hunter that's hunted the same drainage for years and years and years and he bumps into me there. I'm actually pretty
Yeah,
open with those type of people because they're just like, hey, like, yeah, like a lot of the, like, they got trail cams, I got trail cams, and there's a chance that we even have the same animals on trail cams. And so
right.
those are the guys that I'm more open with information because it's like, hey, dude, like we hunt the same drainage, we hunt the same
Yep.
mountain. Like, it's really not, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. But it's what happens is when you, like, let's say we post a video right on YouTube and there's a guy that hunts the same drainage as we do and he says, oh yeah, hey, that's that drainage, and he names the drainage on a public forum where
Yeah, yeah.
thousands and thousands of people watch. And if any, and I apologize if I ever end up deleting those, like people are like probably wondering, like, I wasn't a bad, I don't know why people, my comment was deleted. I'll delete a comment that gives a location because it's like, and I'll privately message those people. I'm like, hey, we can talk about privately. Send me a private message if we hunt the same area, but don't
Right.
publicly announce it because, some of these areas I hunt, there's only 5 other hunters that'll hunt those spots, right? And
Right.
and when you have, it's just the unfortunate truth with social media, when you have a larger platform, you post and you get thousands of views, every view is a person that is now, if and they're just willing to look at the comment section and it's like, okay, or someone just talks, the old saying that my dad's always said is loose lips sink ships.
Yeah, that's
So
right. That's
yeah,
right.
so and so that's what we go by. And but anyways, no, sorry, I was kind of off
No,
topic,
yeah, we
but
do the same. Like, if I see somebody out there and we just happen to bump into each other, usually you know, I'll share a little bit of information. I won't always
yeah.
share everything,
Yeah.
just a reasonable amount.
My thing is like I kind of pick their brain and see how much they give, and
Same.
then I'll give, and then I'll kind of like in return
Yeah, tit
give a
for
little.
tat. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
interesting thing. It's like, what are you willing to show about your hand? Yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
But with trail cams and stuff, I'm always respectful of other people's trail cams. I I don't like when people steal trail. That's just sketch. I
Yeah,
don't want anybody stealing my stuff in the back of the pickup. Sometimes I leave a chainsaw in the back of the pickup. I don't want anybody snooping through my stuff. And I got trail cams in the woods. Like, I respect your stuff, you respect mine. And if I see a trail cam in the woods, the only thing you're going to get from me is a goofy photo.
yeah,
I'm gonna do some enactment right in front of your video camera or your camera, and hopefully you get a laugh out of that. But that's all you're gonna get
that's
from
right.
me.
Oh, I
Um,
always hope that it's a video too, because they can watch me like setting up to be, like goofy, and then take
mhm.
the goofy picture, but I look even worse.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, and I've learned this too. Like, getting trail cams photos of an animal doesn't mean you're going to kill the animal.
Right.
So there's, like I said, there's people that I hunt the same areas and they get the same trail cam photos of the animals I hunt. But funny thing is, we hardly bump into each other and we hunt the mountain differently. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like
And
I'm
it's
actually,
fine.
yeah, I shot a bull elk 2 years ago, and and I thought I had that whole bull elk to myself. I hunted him the whole season and the whole month, and all of a sudden there some other guys reach out to me like, hey, I was hunting that bull too, can I come over and look at it? And they told me the drainage. I'm like, that you're right. Yep, that was the bull,
That's
and
cool.
so I said, yeah, come on over. So I showed them the rack, and they told me how much they hunted that, and they've been hunting him for over a month too. And I'm like, what? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't get a single trail cam photo of him. I didn't get, like, but they knew everything about that bull. But I
Yeah.
didn't get it. I didn't get photos of them. Like, I literally thought I was the only person hunting that elk. And so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how hunting goes sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I'm not really. I mean, when people are in my hunting spot, I'm not really intimidated by it by any means. Um,
Well,
but yeah,
everything's so different. Even like, a lot of what we'll do is just whitetail hunting, and it's such
mm,
a smaller scale, right? And there
yep.
are still times when, there are people in where you are, and you don't see them, and they're really good about getting in and out quietly and everything else. And it's like, hasn't
Mm-hmm.
affected me or whatever. That's great. All right. So you do a lot of YouTube, social media stuff for Stuck in the Rut. So like, tell me about what you guys do. When did you get started, and how'd that go?
Yeah, so we started back in a long time ago. I think everybody's dream is to make money in the hunting industry, right? And to become a professional hunter. And we didn't really know the definition of that when it first started,
Yeah.
So we were just, we knew we had something going for us. This is before YouTube, this is before Instagram, before Facebook. And we were just really good hunters. I'd say this area, our family was well known, like the Schneider family. The Schneider family was well known for pulling big stuff off the mountain every single year. And so we had a reputation, just a local reputation, not outside
Hmm.
of our area. But if anybody, like in a small town, people are like, oh yeah, the Schneiders, those guys, they're hunters and they're obsessed with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And but the one thing that we're just teenagers, and myself and my brother, but we have already, I'd like to say, just even as an 18-year-old, I probably felt like I had more experience in hunting than most adults.
Yeah.
And we had I was killing a mature bull. Oh, I'm going to say mature bull elk, but I was killing a bull elk every single year at that point. My brother Travis was my brother Travis was killing some monster bulls, and I still joke about this. I remember adults being jealous of my brother, who was a 16-year-old teenager, because my brother was he was a killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My older brother, and I just remember that. I remember these like guys in their 30s and 40s, almost like kind of intimidated my teenage brother, and it was hilarious. And like, I mean, to the point where they're like, oh yeah, well, I killed a bull that
Yeah.
big
Right.
once, and it's like, cool.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
happy for you,
Yeah.
like,
Me too.
yeah, it's so it's like, what's going on here, So it was kind of weird to see that. But no, I mean, but you get that, right? You get people that are happy for you, you get people that are jealous, but vice versa. But no, but sorry, I'm getting off topic again. But I think we really felt like we had something going for us is when we had watched the Sportsman channel or the Outdoor channel, and there was a lot of hunts we couldn't relate to, right?
Right.
I felt like there was a turn, like, and I don't want to say hunting was going woke, but it kind of was. Am I making any sense there?
Yeah, for sure.
So we were seeing the Outdoor Channel, Sportsman Channel. They were getting to a point where they were starting to do censorship, where they were censoring the animal tipping over. They were, if there was more than one shot of the animal, they were like they were making it really fluff and
Yeah.
very little. Oh, like if you're skinning out an animal, there's too much blood. Like it was getting to the point where they weren't showing the real hunt. And there was awfully a lot of guys who can, there's nothing against, if you want to do a high fence hunt, I don't care.
Right.
But but if you don't call yourself a professional hunter and go shoot a 450-inch bull elk in a high fence,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you're not a professional hunter. Like,
That's a totally different game. And you run into those guys a lot. If you ever do any hunt, like, we'll go to Canada and we'll get outfitters and things. And, you'll share camp with guys who don't really know what they're like. Basically it's like their camo still has tags on it type of
yeah,
a deal where it's like, well,
yeah,
clearly you don't do this very much. It's kind of funny, but then you brag about all the things you paid for and hunted. It's different and great for it. Go spend that money and do that. That's your
mm-hmm.
prerogative, but it's a different game.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's just stuff we couldn't relate to, right? And that public land DIY type hunt was just like we were seeing less and less of it. I'd say like kind of our idol growing up was watching Jim Shockey videos. They're just like, hunting the Yukon, hunting moose and stuff. And so we even made the initiative. So my graduating year of high school, I saved up enough of my logging money that so my dad's a lumberjack, and so I was working with him. And I saved enough of my pennies. I did a Canadian moose hunt.
Nice.
And being, hunting in Canada, of course, if you live in the States, you're required to get a guide.
Yep.
And that's just the unfortunate truth. But I got to do that. I archered a bull moose up there. But then we found in Alaska, you're not required to have a guide. And so my brother and I started doing those trips quite a bit and doing those trips in Alaska, hunting moose, hunting caribou. Now for sheep and these other species, you do need an outfitter, right? But that's when we started packing the video camera though too. We're like, well, let's, how do we become, you think by becoming a professional hunter that someone's just going to follow you around with a camera crew, like somebody's going to recognize your skills.
Right.
And so you're going to have these companies reach out to you and they're like, hey, we're going to send a camera guy with you and stuff. That's not how it works. You have to put in your own effort, your own grit. And it's not even just about the hunt and the kill, but you actually have to capture it all on footage. You have to take photos of everything you're doing. And so there's a lot of extra work into a hunt when you do that. And it probably wasn't really until 2011 to where we actually gained like a solid foundation where it's like we're actually we finally got a system where we're capturing good footage and we're gaining a following. And so we were kind of bouncing around. I'd like to say we didn't have our own sports channel on the Sportsman channel, but a company that saw potential in us, they put us on their channel for a couple years. And and during that time, Travis was selling DVDs. So we started selling the hunting DVDs and we were doing a lot of like DIY public land, elk, moose, mule deer, spring black bear. The 2011 was the first year they ever opened wolf season. And so thank goodness. But there was a point where I started telling my brother, like I saw the future in YouTube and not a lot of people are posting on YouTube in the hunting space. And so I'm like, Travis, I really think we need to capitalize on YouTube. And he said, oh no, like we need to sell these DVDs, right. And I'm just like, I didn't see the future in DVDs. And so I finally got him convinced to start. We just did a couple posts and we did the whole circuit. Like we had a booth in Salt Lake. We had a booth in Portland, Oregon. We had a booth Spokane, Washington, Boise, Idaho. And so we had these booths throughout. And we would ask people, because people were like, oh, I love your guys' videos. And we're like, well, which videos do you like? Are you watching them on the Sportsman?
Where are you seeing them?
Where are you seeing them? Where are you obtaining our videos? you buying our DVDs, you watching us on the Sportsman channel. What is it? And they're like, YouTube. And I at that point I only had like 3 YouTube videos, and one of them was a wolf hunt.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
And so people like we started realizing that we were having better engagement with YouTube. So then we started focusing on YouTube and building our following there. And that's pretty much where the foundation of Stuck N The Rut began, was with our YouTube channel. And so, and
Yeah.
yeah, now it's what over a decade now we've had our YouTube channel, and it's doing well.
I was gonna say I was gonna look up where you're at right now, but you guys have a ton of content out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, like 300 some thousand followers, and 300 videos. And what I like about it is it's very actually, hang on, it's playing.
Mm.
Uh, it's very, you just feel like you're part of it. It's very engaging that way, and it's just got like unique stuff. Like there's not a lot of people posting wolf hunt videos. There's just not a lot of that content out there.
Right. That probably really helped us out too, because it was such a strong topic amongst people
Yeah,
that live in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, even Washington and Oregon, although they're not allowed to hunt them, right?
yeah,
And so it's a really hot topic, and getting those wolf hunts early on was just really helpful with that. But also just the DIY stuff. People love our elk hunts. People love our mule deer hunts, spring bear, and
you have
there's
some
nothing to,
epic spring bear stuff, like especially
thank
the
you.
grizzly. Some of the grizzly videos are
Oh yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Yeah, and most of that, and obviously those bears are in Alaska.
Yeah.
Um, it's just because we can't hunt them here yet. Crossing our fingers. We need to start hunting them. We got quite a few of them here, so I yeah, we do have a lot of grizzlies.
Yeah,
That's another predator we need to manage.
for sure, 100%.
Mhm.
How has it been? Do you guys get a lot of like hate for wolf stuff, or not too bad?
We used to get a ton. I feel like the algorithm has changed over time, and how YouTube shows like your videos. As before, it's like, oh, this is a very popular video, we're just going to show this to the whole world, right?
Yeah,
And so you're getting everybody, you're getting anti-hunting organizations and everything, you're getting multiple death threats, and I still get those. But I feel like now when I do a post, there's very small percentage of negativity, and the
yeah,
majority of it's positive. The only actual like hate we'll get is it's usually just a hunter who's just having a bad day or something.
kind of crabby online.
Yeah, and um so here's a funny example. So I mean, this is not really too big of a problem, but so I just posted my brother-in-law. He shot a beautiful Dall sheep, right?
Yeah, the
Just
albino. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
albino bighorn.
Yeah,
So I mean, but like I'd say like nearly high 90%, all the comments are really positive. A couple people were actually pretty bittered about the title of me calling it the albino bighorn. And it's like the joke kind of went over their head, right? Like
right.
the joke is, and it's even mentioned in the video, like that Dall sheep's horns are so massive and big. It's comparable to a bighorn sheep.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's why I called it the albino bighorn. It's just the title. But some people were they were overthinking the title, and it's just like, dude, it's just a joke.
Just have
Laugh,
fun. Like
just
everybody can
have,
chill out.
yeah, just chill. It's a joke. Just laugh about it. Dude, that's the species. The species are all supposed to be white. Thanks. Yes, I
Yeah, we
know
know.
that. I
We've seen
know.
we've seen a few of these in our lives
Yeah,
before.
yeah, I
On
know.
like Yeah. Well, and Adam's kind of funny. That's your brother-in-law, Adam,
Yeah,
who,
yeah,
I've just seen him online. He's kind of a funny guy, but he literally looks kind of like a grizzly bear.
yeah.
And so like it's fun watching him do this hunt, but it's a great hunt, and just a giant sheep.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, like I said. So as you know, dolls don't get that big. Like if mass. I mean, they have beautiful curls. They get wide, but the mass they don't get like that. And even so Adam, I was with him when he killed his Idaho bighorn sheep. When he drew that tag, I filmed that hunt. He just had a photo with that with the horns of his Dall sheep set with his bighorn sheep set. They just, I mean, the mass and everything was just unusually comparable. I'm just like, it's
Really?
insane. Like, yeah, like he has it side by side a photo. I'll have to do it. I'll have to do the post. Like, when you post a video, you kind of want to hype it up and stuff and keep posting on
Yeah.
Instagram. I need
Yeah.
to do that. I need to post that photo again with his Dall sheep and his bighorn sheep horns
Yeah,
side
like
by
just to show.
side.
See, we know the difference, and look how similar it is actually.
Yeah, compare. Yeah, because yeah, it's crazy. But bighorn
Well, it's
sheep are a whole new game too. I mean, bighorn sheep are so unique and just massive, and it seems like more and more our family are drawn the sheep tag, and which is funny because our family's been putting in for like several years, and then Travis and Trevor both drew last year and both killed great rams. And Adam killed his 2 years prior to that. So now we have three.
that's insane.
Yeah, so that's just weird how the draw system works, right? It's so,
Yeah,
so
seriously.
unpredictable. Hmm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and like you could have no point, hardly any, and just get lucky, and you could have a ton, and
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. And Idaho actually doesn't do the point system, so it doesn't matter how many years you put in
Right.
Idaho. They don't
Yep.
do the point, but Montana
Yep.
does. Wyoming does. New Mexico doesn't. I know New Mexico doesn't. Arizona does the point system. It's the points are interesting though. Like I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a pain to keep
Yeah.
track of. I just started doing the like the WTA does like tags
Yep.
just to like track everything for you, just because it is overwhelming. It's a lot,
Mm.
to keep track of. Remember dates, remember how each system works, and it's always changing and stuff like that. So it is nice to have help with that.
Yeah,
Um,
I use a system similar to that too. We use Hunt and Fool, but same thing. Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
put in for you so you don't forget. I'm just like to me, I'm like straight up, I'm gonna forget.
I can hardly remember like the things I really need to do in the day, and
Yeah.
like, let alone hunt, spend money on points for hunting. So you said you had to start kind of filming yourself. So
Yeah.
it's, as any, maybe people listening don't know, but yeah, like a big thing is like you get all these great ideas for hunts, or you do these cool hunts, and either you have to find a cameraman and pay him, which is, kind of what we've tended to do, or you
Yeah.
have to become a cameraman yourself, which it sounds like that was what you did. How was that? How was learning how to work a camera? How'd that go?
It sucks, but
Yeah.
I got it figured out. Well, so we've learned to pass on the camera, so it was just a trade on trade type thing, right? So when Travis and I first started hunting Stuck N The Rut, and at this time, Adam and Tana didn't know each other; they weren't married yet, right? So
Yeah.
we were all fairly young in our early 20s, So it was myself, Travis, Trevor's my younger brother than Tana, and we would just when we were hunting together, we would just pass the camera, like
Yeah.
if for spring bear hunting, for example, Travis would kill a bear, I film him. Next day, well, it's my turn. Here's the video camera, Travis, and then
Yeah.
he was cameraman. And over time now, I've kind of developed into becoming the editor of all the footage and
I was
running
just gonna ask who
marketing.
edits, because that's kind of a tough job. This guy.
This guy right here. I was actually editing some videos before. I'm getting Trevor's bighorn sheep hunt ready on YouTube right now as we speak. So I'm going to try to get a good system and having a new episode every Friday until we're out
Nice.
of all of our 2024 videos. And
It's a
then,
lot of work, man. It's one of the more stressful things is getting everything set up on
mm,
YouTube for me. Like all the descriptions, that I get the title right, yeah, everything.
oh, it's so time consuming when you really dive into it because you want, the thing is, that's the other thing. And hopefully I'm staying on track here. But like when you post a YouTube video, you have to think to yourself, you can get you could get the best video of a
Hmm.
hunt. But if you edit it the wrong way, you don't capture the audience the right way, you're not going to get
Right.
the engagement. And so when I edit a video, it's in the back of my mind throughout the entire video. I'm like, this is a great video. Like, I have to make this perfect. And so I'll spend like 4 days on a video until I get everything I need that I believe is going to help the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
And so you try to capture you got to capture the audience right from the beginning, and you want to keep them throughout the video to the end.
Yeah.
And
No, the length of time people spend watching is important.
it is. And probably my biggest challenge right now is people are actually liking the longer videos. And so to keeping people's attention for a half hour video is really tough, because we actually started doing 7 minute videos. Like that's how we originally started. And this kind of went back to when we were watching the Sportsman channel as kids. Like
Yep.
let's say we were 16, 18 years old or whatever. We would watch a 40-minute episode and there wouldn't be a kill shot. And that's like what we would mostly look forward to, is a kill
Right.
shot, right? And so for us, we were like, we do these 7 minute videos, just packed action and kill shot. And people loved it, because it's just action, action, action. But now I'm starting to realize at my older age that I think it's just the audience changes too, but also now YouTube has become more TV friendly. So it's not
Yeah.
just on a phone now. So as prior, everybody was watching YouTube videos on your phone. So those quick short
Yeah.
videos were really popular. Now that's like reels and shorts have kind of taken over that space. So now YouTube has become more of like an Amazon Prime, more of a Netflix. And so now we're trying to capture longer videos, like I said. So the albino bighorn that I posted,
Yeah.
that's a half hour video. This one that I'll post my little brother's sheep hunt, it's a half hour video. And that, and I'm actually seeing some pretty good engagement with these half hour videos.
Yeah.
I There's a friend of mine who has a really good YouTube channel, and he's been posting hour-long videos. I'm just like, dude, like that's insane, and he's getting really good engagement with it. So I'm kind of testing the waters with these longer videos. But sometimes the other thing is that, and I'll tell people this, like sometimes there's not, I don't have a half hour footage.
Right. It's not that kind of hunt.
Sometimes it's like, yeah, I go and I got a little time to go hunting after work. I kill a bear, a, a black bear, and wow, I got a 3 minute hunting episode.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, enjoy. This was what it was, and
Well,
you can't make it up and that's what people like about
yeah.
like YouTube. It's like you don't have to fit it into a 20 however minute segment that's broken up for commercials and replays, and it's just like, no, you can watch however long it is. It has the variability, you know. But it has been interesting. We've seen the same thing. Longer form content does really well,
Mhm.
much better than it used to be, because it used to be like, oh, you got to keep it short and snappy, and people want quick hitting stuff. And like you said, the reel or the reels and the shorts and things like that kind of took that over.
Yeah, and so that, yeah, and I think this is a good way to go too. And well, and then also I think to myself, like again, when I edit a video, I'm trying to think about the audience, and I have to put myself outside my own shoes. When you video a hunt, when I video a hunt, we probably love watching every minute of our footage,
Right.
right? But we have to remind ourselves, not everybody likes to watch me eat a bowl of cereal for 15 minutes. You
Just
know what
hang
I
out.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's or hike, sometimes you're like you're kind of, when you watch a hunting video, you're kind of reliving your moment. But you also I have to put myself outside of the hunt and say, okay, what's the average audience? When are they going to get bored? So that's when I'm editing, like let's say we're hiking, right? It's like, and we video this, we're hiking for 5 minutes. Do I show the whole 5 minutes of hiking? Or do I like, okay, people
Yeah.
get the hint.
Yeah.
We're
You're
hiking.
walking. Yeah,
So
exactly.
like 5 seconds, cut. Glassing,
Yeah.
okay, couple seconds, cut. Like you're just actively trying to make it to where I always try to create a story. I'm not too artistic, There's a lot of people that are super artistic with their hunts. I was watching a little bit of your. I didn't watch the full. It's posted on YouTube, isn't the cat hunt you guys have?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that will go live tomorrow,
Okay.
actually, as we're recording this. Yeah.
Okay, so I was watching kind of your preview to that,
Teaser.
and it's
Yeah.
it's really good, really well put together. Like
Nice.
the preview, it looks
Yeah.
great. I'm working more and more on the artistic side. Or as of right now, my biggest focus is clarity. I want
Yep.
that video to be 4K and crystal clear. I want a kill shot and I want a story. And
Yep.
so and then also I've been working a little bit more with sounds and stuff. And we typically keep music out, but there's a time where like there's a lot of just annoying background sound, and it's like, okay, this is the time to maybe just put in some light music. But if you got birds or crickets or like I try to keep as many natural
Yeah.
sounds as possible. People don't like to listen to music as much, I've noticed. But like a little bit of suspense here and there, I'm starting to add a little bit more as in the past.
Yeah.
And eh,
Yeah,
yeah.
sound is hard because you want it to be natural, and like I'm the same way. I want people to hear just kind of the natural sounds of the woods or whatever we're doing, because I
Mhm.
think that's, I don't know, the best part of it. But getting sound levels right, and you're dealing with situations where you're in high wind or
Oh
rain,
yeah.
it's just a lot of screwing around, you know.
Yeah, and that's tough to mess with. And there is some AI
Yeah.
methods where I can literally just grab the audio and throw it in, and AI can get rid of the wind in the background, but it's still a little distorted. But then sometimes you're like, well, the wind's there, but it's not as bad. It's not bad enough to where it's annoying.
Right.
So I'll leave it.
Sometimes you want a little wind to like show what you're, to show what you're doing, like to
Yeah.
reflect what you're up to.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so this one will be kind of interesting because there was a lot of wind on that, or the one I'm posting this Friday, the
Yeah.
sheep hunt. Because just like that sheep country, you're in steep terrain, high elevation, 10K plus, and there's a lot of
Nothing's
wind up
easy.
there.
Yeah.
A lot of
Nothing's
wind.
easy about filming up there.
Yeah. So
How you doing with batteries and stuff? That's kind of a pain too.
yeah, so I usually like to keep extra charged. If I have it, I'll have a good system where um it just depends how long. Like if we're spike camped for a period of time, we just have to pack a bunch of extra batteries, right?
Yeah.
But kind of so our system, the system that we have. So let's say I'm doing like a backcountry camp, right? And maybe I don't have horses and mules, and so it's all on foot. Like when we had horses and mules, we would stay back for a couple weeks. But we have become, and a lot of this was because of wolves, by the way, is we've learned to become more mobile because
Yeah.
overnight wolves can ruin your drainage and chase everything out within just a day span. So you have to be able to be mobile. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why we don't do as many horseback. We used to do a ton, like if you watch our early Stuck N The Rut videos, there was a lot of horseback camping. My brother Travis, he owned three mules. Sorry, no, two mules and three horses. And
That's sweet.
yeah, and then
That's handy.
and it's just a lot of maintenance. But we used to use them a lot, and we used to pack in these drainages um, where we were always an elk, right? You
Yeah.
still had to work for an elk, but there's elk back there,
They're
and there
around.
was,
Yeah.
yeah. And what was really cool is and now I'm getting off topic, but so batteries, right? So yeah, like we'd pack a ton of batteries. We'd have to time it where a battery a day is about how good mine will run.
Yeah.
And so like let's say we're going to do a 4 day trip, 4 batteries will do, and even that, if it's warmer weather, a battery will last 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. The
And
cold really kills it.
yeah, so if you're out in colder weather, you're gonna need to pack more. So I mean, a week camp, 4 batteries will do,
Yeah.
and I just have to keep track of which ones I've used and which ones I haven't used. Um, but yeah, now that we're mobile though, it's not as much of a problem. I don't need to pack as much batteries because usually I like to set a base camp, so which is at the trailhead. Let's say at the trailhead, right? And that could be next to my pickup, or it's
Yeah.
just pretty easy access, right? And then I'll do a base camp for a couple days. So let's say I go and do a couple day base camp in the backcountry. Well, then I have my bait. Then I, or sorry, yeah, or yeah. Well, sorry, now I'm mixing my terms up here. But I have a base camp, and then I do a spike camp.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I
I'm
pack
following.
in,
Yep.
do a spike camp with a little QU tent, no wood stove. You rough it for a couple days, and then see if there's anything back there. If I'm not having a lot of action, then I'll pack everything back out, back to the wall tent, warm back up. You know, if there's a town nearby, run and get some good food, maybe a little more groceries, get back to my base camp, and then maybe do a spike camp elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how our system works. Unless we're in Alaska and we have an airplane, it's a little bit different. Where our spike camp is next to the airplane.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
That makes sense.
and so we're doing a lot more of that though too, with flying. Not everywhere you can fly and land, but um, that's kind of my brother's logic. He's just like, he's like, for how much money I put in my horses and mules, I could have just bought an airplane.
You're just
And
flown
so,
right in there. Yeah.
and so he ended up buying an airplane, and so I mean, and we don't do it all the time, but we do some backcountry strips, so like
Yep.
on the new sheep video. So him and my little brother sheep hunt both. They were able to land on some backcountry strips in Idaho and
Oh,
hunt sheep
cool.
from
That's
there. So
sweet.
so yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then also anytime I have needed to use horses and mules, I have connections. Like I have
Yeah.
like 4 years ago, I killed a nice bullock, a nice 6x7, and I the weather was cool enough. I quartered it up, I got it hung, and then I got off the mountain. And I got a hold of a buddy who really, like, a lot of people are like, hey, like, I need my mules and horses worked,
Yeah. Right.
and so it's like, I'll work them
Deal.
for you. They
Yeah.
do all that. They feed them, they take care of them, and then when the time needs, when I
You
need
just
them,
take them hunting.
yeah, I was just like, hey, I killed a bullock. Can I borrow a couple of your animals? Yeah, sure. Trailers in the back, and load the horses up. Go out the next day, load the whole elk, and get off the mountain. But I've been doing a little bit more with llamas too. So, I have a friend close by, and he's kind of the same ordeal. He's like, hey, I need my llamas work, and so if you could just use those when you need them, just let me
I've
know.
heard good things about llamas. We had somebody on
Yes.
years and years ago, and they were big into llamas.
Yeah, so originally we had some buddies, so like it was kind of new for us and for the people around in this area.
Yeah.
And an individual I knew, he bought a cheap pack string of llamas, and it didn't last long. Let's just say that he left them on the mountains,
You hate
not
to see it.
alive.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
He
That's
just
it's a turnover, I believe. Yeah, employee turnover there.
they ended up being wolf bait. Let's say that. And
Yeah.
so those llamas. But no,
Oh, that's
but yeah, no, it's fun though. You do a lot of, I mean, I guess, what state do you live in?
we're in Michigan, so
You're in Michigan, okay.
we do a lot of hunting in Michigan, but then we'll travel a lot out west to go hunting. So when it comes to things like llamas or mules or even planes, like we don't really, unless we know somebody out there and pay somebody to take us out. Like that's usually it's our feet and usually a U-Haul that we'll rent.
Yeah,
Put to good use.
exactly. Yeah, and we've learned, like I said, so we've learned to be more mobile, especially
Yeah.
after our wolf issues. So you're in Michigan, so you got wolves. You got wolves
Yeah, up
there.
north. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, gotcha.
yeah. They do a lot of damage, man. Like
They do.
they really impact the environment and a lot. And you hear like what the national story about them is, and then you hear it from the locals, and they're totally different experiences and like
It
totally different things said.
Well, and that's why you can't trust. I mean, I don't want to say we never trust the news, but
Yeah,
the people of over time are now like, oh, we don't trust the news now, and it's like, just where I live, we've never trusted the news because the information we were given was completely opposite from what we were witnessing. And it was
yeah,
even before, it was back when we had grizzlies, and they were trying to tell us we didn't have that many grizzlies. And then when grizzly problems would occur, they're like, oh yeah, we do have grizzlies. And so it's like, and then they're admitting that we've had grizzlies forever, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
They would do
Exactly.
this. They were doing this to the locals, right? Um, One situation I won't get too much in detail with, but there was a bear mauling where a bear got killed, and by the time it made it into, like, these environmentalist groups want to protect these grizzlies so much,
Yeah.
They were doing everything in their power not to call it a bear mauling and a hunting accident.
Yeah. What the heck? That's
And
so funny.
yeah, and it's like, and the guy that died from the bear mauling got flown out last. The bear got flown out first
Of course. Of course.
because the bear is more valuable.
Yeah. You kind of you show your value, man. You tip your hand when you do stuff like that. It's like, what is wrong with
So I
you?
do want, yeah. So it's like that's where locals get a bad taste in their mouth. But so with the wolves are the same thing.
Yeah.
For me, I was witnessing drainages getting wiped out, completely wiped out.
Yep.
We've always had mountain lions, we've always had coyotes, we've had lynx. Well, not a lot of lynx. We have lots of bobcats, bears, tons of black bears. Now where you have a fair amount of grizzlies. And they've decided, well, why not add another predator to your ecosystem? Yeah, great idea. That's all our
That
elk
won't
and deer
impact
need.
everything below it. Yeah.
and but then we didn't realize the actual impact because, like I said, so I mean, like I said, I'm all about predator management. I hunt lions, I hunt bears, and everything. I've never seen something like a wolf and the damage they can do to an area. Like I've always shared the mountains with mountain lions and bears,
Yeah.
and yes, they hurt calves. They put some damage, but it's not very noticeable. Like it's usually a long term effect, right? You get a
Right.
lot of bears, a lot of mountain lions in an area. It's usually a 10-year span, and you'll start to
Yep.
see a
It
dip.
takes a while. We just talked to biologists that were telling us the
Mm,
same thing. It will impact it. So you need to manage lions, but it takes a longer time than you would think for that impact to really show.
exactly. And then with wolves, 2 years.
They just
It's
start killing
fast.
machines.
They are. And we had these areas, so these drainages, and like I said, so when I think of my childhood, it's like one of those things where you look back in time, like, man, we really had it good, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we're shed hunters. We love picking up antlers in the spring. So we'd get these moose that would just pile up out of the high elevation, out of the high country, and they pull into these brush fields and these old logging cuts
Yeah.
where you got this nice tall red stem brush and some of that waxy leaf ceanothus that they love to eat.
Yeah.
And we would pick up in just one small area. My brother and I would pick up 20 plus moose paddles. And we're just the moose, and
Right.
we're talking about bulls here, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're not even talking about the amount of cows and calves that were living in these drainages.
Right.
And, and it was just like I said, we've always had bears and stuff and other things that were killing moose. But when the wolves moved in, the sheds were gone. Like, we weren't finding sheds anymore. You weren't
What?
even finding a moose track. And so, like these environmental groups, like, oh, like they're just more on edge, they're just moving more. And it's like
Well,
a
that
moose,
too.
a moose
But
can't fly. A
yeah.
moose, no matter what a moose is doing, it's going to leave a track in the
Hmm.
snow or on the ground. And there's no tracks, there's no poop. Like, those high elevation watering holes that they're used to use and those wallows are no longer being used.
Yeah.
Now they're just becoming mud puddles, those trail systems. So we get some really thick, and our mountains are really thick and heavily
Yeah.
timbered and alder brush. And you'd have these big trails that we'd follow that, like, the elk and moose will use all the time. And those trails in some of those areas, even to this day, are no longer existent. They've all grown up. No, like, it's sad for me. I love the mountains. I love hiking top mountain, but sad to me is walking to the top mountain and looking in a big basin, and being like, this is a complete dead zone.
It's empty.
It's empty, and it's not hunters that did it. And
Though hunters could have helped.
yeah, and we could have helped prevent that from happening, right? And well, and I actually feel like, even, we talk about hunting pressure. I feel like there was more hunting pressure when I was younger than there was now. And it's because people used to travel like this, like, a lot of parts of Idaho used to be very popular to hunt and travel to.
Yeah.
And we've become a place where people are like, oh, it's not hunting there anymore.
Well, we don't hunt around there. Yeah, exactly. Which then you lose dollars, which then you lose funding for all the other stuff you need to do for wild game. It all has like this cascading impact that goes well beyond. Well, the moose are a little more on edge now. It's
Yeah.
just bigger than that. Yeah.
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 Well,
I mean, that was what we looked at for lions, and I do know wolves are, that, but ratcheted up. They are pack animals that are extremely smart.
Well, they are, and you know the thing is, and I can't blame the wolf for doing what it's designed to do, right? Like
Right.
we
Yep.
can't, and
That's a beautiful thing. It's right.
yeah,
It's design.
yeah. It's the problem is with a wolf is what people got to realize too, that a wolf has its own a mind of its own. It doesn't have this. I had a guy, no joke. This was just a couple days ago. A guy was trying to tell me that a wolf can sniff out the weakest elk in the herd, and that is, and I'm like, and I was having a nice conversation with them, just like, yeah, that's not necessarily true. I said that like it's whoever falls in back of the line,
Yeah.
whoever's, and it's like, and usually that's a calf.
Yep.
It's
It's
one
got to
that
be
can't,
pretty sick to be slower than a calf.
yeah. And so it's usually ends up being a calf. And so some of these drainages, when we were still packing in with horses and mules and having wolf issues, this was kind of like the beginning, right? So we were packing with horses and mules, and we were having wolf issues. We had wolves that would surround us at our hunting camp and stuff. And
Yep.
but then these elk, so these drainages where we'd always see these big herds of elk, right? You know, and for us, we pack in there, we may kill one, maybe two elk out of there a year. Doesn't put a dent in the population. When you
Right.
have a herd of 50 to 100 cows, and they're every single one of them's having a calf, you know, that's fine.
Right.
But when the wolves move in and you're seeing over year after year, and you're seeing all these cows with no calves, like that's a
That
problem.
tells you something. That's right there. That's evidence that you can see every year
Yeah.
clearly.
And you're seeing the kills, well, in the winter time. So like in the same thing with evidence, you know, when I go out and shed hunt in the winter,
Hmm.
I'm finding wolf kills. Like I'm
Right.
finding,
Now is the time you start to see them all. They kind of melt off, and you can see all the everywhere.
well, and you're just kind of seeing it throughout the winter too. So like the
Yeah.
moose like running roads and stuff because they feel really comfortable, and so well, so do wolves. And so the wolves kind of run the roads, and they just like and they catch the wind of a moose. The thing is, and I feel bad for moose, especially in our areas. They don't move around a lot in the
Right.
wintertime. It's like where they're stuck in this isolated area. And so the wolves, they don't just like kill a moose here and then that it would be different, right, if they did that. And that's kind of how I noticed with mountain lions. Like they'll kill a deer
Yeah.
here, but then they'll move to the next drainage. They'll kill
Yep.
a
They're
deer there.
moving.
They're moving. They're kind of their routes are huge. Um, like a wolf pack and wolves have large routes too, but they find a pocket of animals in the wintertime. They're like, why leave?
Yeah.
And so they just whack, 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 whack. And so, like I said, like those 20 moose in a drainage, it went from 20 moose to 3 bull moose in 2 years.
That's
3 bull
insane.
moose. And
By
we,
the way, 3 bull moose aren't going to be making a whole lot of other moose. They can't make babies, so they're
yeah,
just, you know,
and it's not counting the cows and calves they're killing. And it's just
right.
like, but you think of that drop, that drastic drop in just 2 years. And it's like, and prior to that, we didn't have a decline, right? Like before that, we had a very stable moose population, sometimes up, sometimes down, but we were to the point we had these moose named. You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this is the same paddle we found last year, and
Yep.
that was the same with our elk. That was the same with our muleys, and it was just all of a sudden it's just like that snap of the finger that's gone, and you're sitting there like, hey, we need help. And we were being told that wolves aren't the problem, that it's ticks that are killing our moose.
There
And
are a lot of ticks, but
yeah,
yeah, ticks
and
aren't
they're
killing
going.
that many moose.
No, and yeah, ticks can kill moose,
Yeah.
and I also and it's just like they're pulling studies from like completely opposite sides of North America, right? It's like, oh, this area we found was really bad with
Yep.
tick issues, therefore we're going to deem your moose being killed from ticks is the same.
Yep.
And with our mountains, because like, well, they were saying, oh, well, maybe the mild winters and stuff are killing your moose, and it's like, no, because like, well, here's something. I'm sorry, I'm going kind of down a
Yeah. No,
rabbit
I
hole
like
here,
this.
but I've been told. So this is in the same conversation. Our mild winters are killing our moose, but our severe winters are killing our muleys. So I'm like, well, make up your mind. Are we having severe winters or are we having mild winters? Make up your mind here.
Yeah.
Like
Have you not
everything's
thought that
dying.
that's contradictory?
Yeah, across the board, everything's dying. You
Yeah.
can blame this on moose, you can blame this on mule deer, but across the board, everything is at a downhill slope. Our elk, our moose, our mule deer, even our mountain whitetails, not the
Yep.
ones in the fields, our mountain whitetails. Everything that lives in the mountains is at a downhill climb. Was. And now for the past 2 years, I've seen a large drop in our wolf numbers, and all of a sudden, all these deer and elk are showing back up,
Yep.
and it's like,
Obviously. It's just the simplest solution.
you see
Well, and
that?
it's like
Yeah,
you want to manage it all. You want to be smart about, everything. And, what I've kind of learned as we worked on this lion film is like, uh, human beings are always part of the equation. And so we have to act appropriately in where we are, which means a lot of times hunting both the prey and the predator animals. And everybody's like, well, you just need to hunt the prey animals. Why would you ever shoot a mountain lion or a wolf or whatever? And it's like, well, they're all animals on the landscape and they all impact it in different ways. And so to just hunt one and let one run free is going to destroy everything else if you're not doing it right.
yeah, exactly. You can't. Yeah, and I say the same exact thing. You can't only hunt the prey and expect the predators to manage themselves.
Right.
If we're going to continue to hunt deer and elk and be part of the ecosystem, then we also need to hunt the predators as well.
And people have a hard time with that. If it's got
Yeah,
claws and fangs, man, they get upset. And
they
we've
do.
had, just surprisingly a surprise. Well, it surprised me about just shooting a mountain lion. Like some people were quite upset about that and didn't understand it at all. And it's like, well, I'm eating it and I'm going to hang it on my wall and I've got the skull. I'm going to put that on my mantle. Like, I feel like I'm actually probably doing more with it than I would with a deer where I'm not keeping its hide. And, you know, people aren't that excited to eat it because it's just a deer as opposed to the excitement of eating like a mountain lion, which you don't get to do a lot.
Hmm.
It's just kind of wild, it's a weird line that we draw.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I think about mountain lion hunting and the times. So before before we had the GPS,
Hmm.
right, with the hounds. So like this is back in my now I'm going back in time again.
Yeah.
We'd run cats without GPSs, so we had to follow the hounds. And
Right.
it was nothing for us, no joke, to before we tree the cat, that there'd be 3 or 4 dead whitetails
Right. You
before we
see them
tree
all
the
along
cat.
the way.
You
Yep.
see them all along the way. And I tell you what, some of the biggest deadheads that we have um, are from mountain
Lion
lions.
kills. Yeah.
Because my brother, no joke, found it. And this wasn't from cat hunting that we were shed hunting, but he found just a couple different big guys. So one was over 200, no joke, 200-inch whitetail, jail barred. If you don't believe me, I've done a couple posts about it on Instagram. I could even send you a private message, but
Yes.
it's
Done
a
that.
jail bar mountain whitetail, and that whitetail shared the mountain with moose and muleys and elk,
Yeah.
and
Just
it
a
was just
bad dude.
never seen a cornfield in his life. Just a
Oh, that's incredible.
just a mountain whitetail. And then another one was a shed actually. So my brother was with a friend and they were trying to tree a cat and the hound stepped over the shed and so did the hound hunter in front of Trav and my brother. It's like, hey, look what you just stepped over. And he grabs this absolute monster whitetail shed. And the guy's like, you have got to be kidding me. So that spring, my brother brought me back there. He's like, we need to split up on this mountain, find the other side. I found the other side. Like there was some blowdown. These
Yep.
trees were blown down, and it was just I was just stepping over the blowdown, and if I was 5 feet to the left or 5 feet from the right, we would have never found that shed. But I
Right.
stepped right in the perfect spot. I'm like, there it is. And so we got it
Amazing.
mounted. It scores 186
No
whitetail.
way.
Yeah. And then here's kind of a cool
Jesus.
example of I want to share this. It's a cool example of predator management.
Yep.
So there was this piece of property that we logged and ended up, so someone else owns it, right? But they're kind of like they don't live here in Idaho, they live elsewhere. And so we managed this property. So at first when we went in there, it was very high, it was highly infested with wolves, mountain
Yep.
lions, a lot of predators. And as we were logging, whitetails love to go through logging strips and eat brush. We hardly had a single deer walk on that logging strip. So we logged it, but we logged it in the idea to beautify it. So we logged it, spaced the
Yep.
trees out, and then with all that space, we put clover, grass seed, put a lot of really good things that the deer, elk, and
They're
other
gonna like to
species
eat.
would like.
Yep.
And in within 6 years, now there's like 50 plus deer using that area. I've,
Yep.
and I still got trail cams in there, elk. And the things that's like, well, what did we do? Well, we did that. And also, you know how many wolves and mountain lions we've taken out of there since then too?
Yep.
And it's just
Right.
like, well, because we got, owner, like the private landowners, like I said, they're surrounded by public land there, but we've asked them like, hey, can we hunt back there? And like, sure, yeah, kill all the predators you want. Like
Yeah.
we went there, like I said, we've killed wolves. I've killed 6 wolves out of that area. I've killed I got a mountain lion actually mounted in my living room that I killed out of that
Nice.
same area. I was actually checking on the property, cut the lion track, called my buddy, hey, got a nice lion track, let's tree it. And I killed the lion,
That's
and
sweet.
then bears and everything. So what I'm saying is, it's like we created ourselves a little ecosystem there
Right.
where now it is being used a lot. As prior, nobody was using that area, and that whole area was being neglected and
Yeah.
wasn't being. And there was some people that would go in there to whitetail hunt and stuff, but that was it. But as soon as we did our duty in there, and like I said, so now I'm like a it's just like, I have a bunch of these little jobs, and one of them is just I caretake for these people,
Yeah.
and it's not much caretaking. I just check on their property once a month, but
Yeah.
I pay attention to it. And wolves move in, like so recently. Well, now we had to pull the traps because of the federal judge
Yeah.
hit his stupid mallet, and save the grizzlies, and so they shortened our wolf trapping season. But the wolves are active; they move back in, and
Right.
so it's like the only reason why we had these good numbers in there prior was because we were keeping the wolves out.
Well, it was informed based on exactly what you knew what your area needed.
Mm-hmm.
It's stewardship is kind of getting involved and managing the population where you are because you know it best because you spend time in it.
Yeah.
So if you want to, I mean, it's a great example of like it's how immediate the results can be by just doing a few simple things on your landscape in the ecosystem and what it does for everything. I mean, everything gets healthier when you're taking your place kind of in the whole web of things going on in the woods and you're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so well, we gotta wrap up here. I gotta let you get back with your day. But I appreciate you coming on to talk about this because it's something we've been thinking about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Predators and predator management. We do a lot of coyote hunting and bobcat and bears and mountain lions and things. But yeah, it's just cool to see because you guys are doing some interesting stuff with wolves out there.
Oh yeah.
So for people who want to check you out, because we could talk for hours about this. I have a ton more questions. We'll have to have
Yeah.
you back on to do that at some point. But you guys talk about it a ton on your channel, on your social medias. Where can people find you and check you guys out?
I mean, we have an Instagram, Stuck in the Rut Instagram. It's this symbol is it's two skeleton elk fighting it, and then and you'll see our YouTube channel, Stuck in the Rut Hunting. You can find us there as well. The one thing we've been promoting recently is just like I said, predator management, and so we actually have created a wolf hunting masterclass. And so if anyone's interested in learning how to hunt wolves, but we didn't really get into it, but like the one thing with wolves is by far I've hunted a lot of species of animals. Wolves are the hardest animal I've ever hunted. Like they're really smart, really intelligent. But we got it down. And so if you guys are wanting to learn how to hunt wolves and cut that learning curve, I recommend checking out. I can send you the link. You can put that in the notes, right?
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
so I'll give you the link there, and then also we have a mule deer masterclass going on. Um, so we have the mule deer and wolf readily available for you right now as we speak. We're currently in the process of making a spring bear and fall
Mm,
bear, so you can get on the waiting list. And then we're going to do elk as well. So,
nice.
so if anyone's interested in getting on the waiting list and taking advantage of a good discount when it comes out, I
Cool.
recommend that as well. So,
Yeah, we'll
um,
throw that link in the notes, and you'll be able to. I was just on the website; it's all there,
yeah,
easy to find. Yeah.
cool, awesome, I
All right,
appreciate
man.
it.
Appreciate you coming on. Everybody, go check it out. Tom, thanks again, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, thank you.